In today's video, I'm going to show you how to tackle these nasty scum marks that you find on your car emblems. Now, it's something you're always going to find, especially if your car's been down the local hand car wash. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what this is and how you can fix it. So basically, what we're looking at here is hard water, and this is just from poor drying techniques. That's pretty much all it is. So if you go to dry your car with a towel and you don't quite get all the drips out, this is what happens. They start to form a little layer of hard water. Now over time it gradually builds up and eventually you're left with something like this. So this is a very quick and easy fix that anybody can do at home, and my current go-to product that I'm using to fix this is G-Technic Water Spot Remover. But before we start using this product, it's pretty important to make sure your car's had a good wash. Now I'm starting off with the same process I always carry out, minus the wheels, because they recently had a refurb. So I'm starting off with a citrus pre-wash, followed by a good snow foam, a rinse and a shampoo. And I have made hundreds of how-to guides on this channel which will help those of you getting started. So if you are brand new to the channel, then make sure you subscribe, and also let me know in the comments of any key areas that you're struggling with, and I'll do my best to make you a dedicated video. Here's the thing, even before we start using any chemical, it's still equally important just to give it a good brush. And I know you're not going to get everything out, but it still makes your life a little bit easier, because you don't want to waste any product, because it's not very cheap if you want to buy any dedicated water spot removers, whereas it's very cheap if you want to get a shampoo. Once you're happy with the cleanliness of the car, you can then give it a rinse followed by a dry. And it's amazing how much water cars hold in those crevices, and it can sometimes feel like a never-ending process, even if you think you have removed all the water and you still find the odd drip. So now the car's had a complete wash, we need to make sure that this thing is going to be 100% dry. But more importantly, we need to make sure the badge area is dry, because what we don't want to do is dilute the chemical anymore, because the idea is you have to spray it onto a dry surface. So essentially what we're going to be using is a pet dryer. Now these are a very cheap and cheerful tool that any car cleaner can use, and this one cost about £50 off Amazon. And what's great about these is you can tackle all the little nooks and crannies. Now granted, I mainly stick with a drying towel if I'm doing the larger sections of a car, but when it comes to all around the lights and more importantly the badges, that's where this thing comes into its own. The car dryer did a good job of removing the trapped water, and once that was done, we were left with this. As you can see around the emblems here, it looks like there's a blurriness going all the way around it. Now that this is completely dry, you can actually see what happens, and you don't really notice it when the car's wet, because if you've taken it through a hand car wash, for example, you're not going to see any of those marks because it's never truly dry. But this is what you're left with. Okay, so the car's all ready to go. We just need to give the bottle a shake, put a few squirts on a cloth, and then start working it into each section at a time. Now you don't want to go too mad and do a massive emblem or like loads of different areas and then come back to it. Just focus on one little section at a time, because we want to be thorough here. We want to make sure that this looks perfect, because we don't really want to be wasting any more time coming back to it later on. So alternatively, I know it says you can't really dilute this product down and it says use it when it's dry, but I've used it in the past during the washing process where I've just sprayed it on whilst the car was wet, and I've used a brush and I've sprayed a few bits on a brush as well, and it's also done the job pretty well. So once we've worked it in, we then take a dry towel and basically just go over the area we've just been. So we need to be quite liberal with using this chemical. I'm not going to say be very sparing with it, because you really do want this to work and you want to do it in the first attempt. You don't really want to come back to it. And although it smells like vinegar, for Christ's sake, don't use it on your chips, because you'll be dead. So alternatively, you can spray a few bits on an old brush and work it in very gently. And it just helps get into those little tiny areas that you might not be able to tackle, because there's only so much you can do when you've got a towel. You see, they recommend you use this, but you can't always get it right in because there's a few tight spaces. So the brush is another good thing to have, but make sure you use a really soft brush, because you don't want to go scratching this. That is pretty good. So I'm now following it up with my little dry towel, and that is looking amazing. It's just a bit of a fiddly process. Like, I know in a perfect world, you just want to spray it on, let it dwell, and then agitate it and then wash away. And you can do that because I've done it on several occasions where I've just soaked it and then washed it away, and it's done pretty much the same job. You will find a good water spot remover will be able to tidy up those scummy areas around the engine bay too. And that's another area that people tend to ignore after giving their car a final rinse. And if you left the garden sprinklers on in the summer and it's dried on your paintwork, then this will also fix that too. And if you want to know more about decontaminating your car's paint, then go check out this awesome video that I made for you right here.